Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay at home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. Don't worry about my weight, got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet, cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Hope you've had a great week. I know that my week has been busy with getting back into the swing of things after being on the road for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days out east. So, yeah.
You sound unhappy,
No, just trying to
disgruntled.
just trying to get some sleep back. I don't know.
Do
It's a
you
lot
need
of driving.
a vacation after your vacation?
I just need a siesta after a vacation. That's what I need.
Yeah, yeah.
I need a sleep pod with
Did you
yeah.
did you drive when everybody was sleeping? Was there a lot of that? Did you
I
drive?
drove everything but 1 hour. The last day on the way home, I was hitting my wall. And I told my wife, I was like, Corey, you're gonna have to drive for
Mm-hmm.
at least an hour and then I'll be okay. And so
Yeah.
she drove for an hour and then
I
like, yeah.
I think we should state to all of you young dads out there who are like, "What? No, no, no. Why would you do that?" You reach a point, gentlemen, where you hit a wall in whatever you're doing, and you need to stop and let
Yeah.
someone else take over. Whatever that wall is, you have to understand once you start pushing past that, you're being detrimental to your family.
Oh
The
yeah.
best thing to do for Brock, and I applaud you, sir, for doing it, is to look at it and go, I have reached my limitation and I'm going to ask someone else to help me. And those are things I see so many men, so many dads, they can't understand or do.
I have a
Your
new car
40s.
that's got lane assistance and like
Mm-hmm.
cruise differential or whatever, which are great to use. And I definitely use them all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, when you get to a point where you're literally nodding off, you're in the lane, you're staying in your lane, but you're nodding off and then waking up and going, holy crap, like
Right. Just
that's
once.
the
That's enough. Pull over.
one time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my wife was sleeping. I like tapped her. I'm like, hey, like we need to pull. I'm like, I'm pulling over at this rest stop up here. I was like, you
Mhm.
take your time to, get yourself back to where you're awake. But I was like, you're gonna
Yeah.
have to take over driving because
Mm-hmm.
I need to sleep.
Yeah. And I remember in my 30s specifically where I said, okay, 11 hours is my limit. I can drive wherever we're going. I can drive for 11 hours total, but anything beyond that, I've got to stop. There's no way I can make it. Now that's more like 8.5, maybe nine, depending on when we leave. And I can't drive all night. I just don't have that
Oh
ability
no.
to just stick with it overnight. I'm like, it's got to be bright daylight. I got to be in my regular circadian rhythm where I'm awake.
Yeah.
I can't do it. But I have asked, and it's 7 hours to where we used to go for Marnie's parents for their at the lake and all that. 7 hours is nothing. I mean, I shouldn't say it's nothing. It is something, especially when you have little kids and factoring in all of the things that are changing in your life. When you have a toddler, yeah, you're gonna have to stop a lot more. When you have even a kid in diapers, of course, obviously, but even when your kid gets above toddler age, I've got I'm not going to point out which one, but I have kids that are all in double digits, and I leave the gas station, and it's within 20 minutes, somebody will go, I have to pee, right? So
Here's a
you have to
Gatorade
make
bottle.
those
Figure it
adjust.
out.
No, no, no. I don't. I'm like, we'll pull over. We'll pull over. We'll go over here. Hopefully, but that 7 hours was nothing for a long time. But then after like 3, 4 days a week at the lake, in the sun, in the water almost every day, staying
Oh,
up
that'll take it
late,
out of you. Yep.
Yeah. And by the
Oh
time we
yeah.
get back, I'm like, okay, look, babe, I got about 3 or 4 hours max. We're going to get all the way to this point and then we're going to have to switch. So you can sleep now. And I will say I've spent more time driving with my true partner, the woman that I love, my best friend, my mate, my one, my love, snoring her ass off while I'm trying to handle the car, myself, and the kids. And I'm like, I love you, but God, you're making me mad. You need to wake up.
Yep. Yeah,
Kid needs kid
definitely.
needs a bottle of water. Why did I have to do that? I'm trying to go 80 miles an hour. Well, I'm sorry, a legal speed down the highway.
80 miles an hour is a legal speed depending on where you're at.
Where you're at, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you're okay. But yeah, no, so we did a definite big family road trip
yeah,
in a
yeah.
short
Tell us
period of
where you went.
time.
I know, but yeah.
Yeah, so Ruby and I drove together. So it was the first time actually doing a road trip with just my daughter, which was a
Nice.
lot of fun actually because
Yeah.
for her, like her thing was this was the first time she was sitting in the front seat. So that was a big thing for her. And
Yeah.
the thing that she found annoying was the fact that being in the front seat, you get all the sunlight that you don't get in the back. And so she was trying to figure out how to watch her movie on the iPad while sitting in the front seat. And like at one point she's like lifting it up in the air and like blocking the sun with it and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, there's an easier way about this. I was like, use your little like thin blanket and just like put it in the glove box and put it over your head or something like that. And she just like basically threw it over her head. So it looked like I
hmm
was driving with a ghost in the passenger seat. So that was a lot of fun. But we had a good time. We had a lot of fun conversations and just we're being goofy and listening to
Yeah.
different music.
Yeah.
But we drove out to Bethesda, Maryland to meet Corey and Hezekiah at the NIH, and we actually like we stayed in a hotel like just down the road from there and went out to dinner that night and just had a nice like, daddy daughter trip, and that was a lot of fun. And then on Friday, we picked up Corey and Hezekiah from the hospital and
hmm
we headed up north. They didn't know where we were going, and so like we're driving, like I had put in destinations where you couldn't really tell where we were at, although it would tell you the city, but it waited till later to do that. So when we got close, it was like, you know, veer right to go to Hershey, Pennsylvania. And like the kids were like, Hershey. And so like that started up a whole conversation about things. Like they didn't realize that there was a park or anything like that there. And so we surprised them with going to just the shop there, which for anybody who doesn't know, you can actually go to the Hershey shop that they have. I think it's called Chocolate of the World or something like that, but it's a 2 hour free parking that you can get when you go up. They ask if you're there for the amusement park or if you're there just to go to the store. And so they give you a pass for the store, and we went in and spent about an hour and a half in there, and they have like a really fun like free tour, so you can actually sit in this little car and it's on a track and it takes you through and shows you how they make the chocolate bars and different things like that. So that was a lot of fun. The kids had a blast with that. And
Awesome.
For Ruby, her class finished reading Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, so she literally got to go see like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory
hmm
basically. So she was ecstatic. Like it was really fun. So
That's
yeah,
cool.
so
That
we
is
did that.
fantastic. Yeah.
Bought some fun things. It's her birthday weekend too, so she's turning 10. So we were trying to make it, you know, a very like special time along with everything going on with Hezekiah.
hmm
So so we did that for a little while, and then we continued driving, and we went, got into the evening. They weren't sure. They had absolutely no idea where we were going. However, the intelligence of Hezekiah was charting very well. And as we got closer, he started looking on his Apple Watch on maps as to where we were. And he started searching around and he saw Goshen, New York.
hmm
And he knew from the Lego magazines that Legoland is in Goshen, New York. So there's no signs anywhere that say this way to Legoland on the highway, which I thought was very odd.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a
you'd
surprise.
think
Yeah.
there would be a billboard or something, and there was nothing, which was really just kind of surprising to me. And so we
hmm
get to the hotel and everything, which this was really cool. So typically when you buy like packages, like tickets and hotel or whatever,
hmm
apparently like they give you like a minifigure because when you're in the park, you can actually like trade minifigures. But
That's cool.
yeah, and I didn't bring any minifigures with them because I was not about to go through their Legos and pull something that they did not want to
Right.
trade. So I was like, if it happens, it happens. It doesn't, whatever. So I go in the hotel to check in and I'm explaining to the guy what's going on and everything. And he's like, Legoland's great. They're going to have a blast. I'm like, yeah, it should be a good time. And as I'm getting ready to leave, he's like, "Oh, hey, wait a minute." And he pulls this little cardboard box up and he's like, "Typically these go to people who actually like buy the packages." He's like, "I completely understand why you didn't buy the package because it definitely doesn't fit into what you guys are doing." He's like, "But here." He's like, "Give these to the kids and then that way they'll have minifigures." And so like they were
Nice.
like the random bag with the one minifigure inside of it. So we used that the next day to surprise them with Legoland, which was so much fun. I would consider going to Legoland over Disney, and I know that's going to start a fight, but to be honest, like it's cheaper. It's got a ton of fun things, and for our family, like we're not huge Disney people,
Hmm.
other than like, a few shows and movies and whatnot, but to go to Legoland and for my kids to be able to basically go into the world of Ninjago
Hmm.
is like the creme de la creme for them. So
Yeah.
uh, we had a blast doing that. There's actually a full city scale of New York there in Lego, and it's like over 22 million bricks. And
Wow. Holy
I have
crap.
I need to post the pictures for it, but basically like if you take the photos in the right angles, it would look like a little person had taken these photos, like
Hmm.
my kids or something like that. And so like I was doing that. Like I was taking these shots from like kind of like the ground basically up,
Yeah.
and it looks like it literally looks like in New York taking these photos. It's so fun. So yeah, so that was just a fun little trip there, and then from there we left at like, when did we leave? Like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I believe, something like that. So we were there from like 10 to 3. We didn't do any like a ton of rides and everything. We were just there, just kind of experience the park and of course go shopping. Like
Hmm.
the Lego shop there is flipping fantastic. It's huge.
Yeah. They know their
Everything,
audience.
oh, everything and anything under the sun. Like what we were talking before we came on about tattoos and Lego and how they're very similar with people, liking those things. And
And
I mean, you had
spending money.
and
That's the
spending,
point.
yeah, and
That's where
spending
they
money.
overlap.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So like, I mean, everything from like the Dungeons and Dragons Lego set, which was like $370, to like the Eiffel Tower Lego set,
Hmm.
which is just in a massive box.
Yeah.
The box size is crazy. And then over like in the Star Wars area, you've got the entire like Death Star that like opens up and has all the little compartments, and there's like, I don't know, 50 figures or something like that
Yeah.
inside of them. It's like $1,000. Just all that stuff was there. And so it was really neat to like just see all the different things and, buy a
Hmm.
few things. I bought me a sweatshirt that I liked. That was like the only thing that I could find that I was like, I'll wear that. Like, otherwise, like, I was looking for just a straight Lego shirt, but everything's Lego Land there. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, fine. Okay. Well, that's what it's going to be. So, yeah. So then from there, we drove to Niagara Falls. And that was the only
Cool.
place that they actually knew we were going to, was Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
Um, and of course, like they thought, hey, we're just throwing up here, we're staying the night in the hotel, and we're just gonna go check out the falls and head home. But Corey kind of changed some things up, and we ended up actually doing the Maid of the Mist.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was awesome. I did not even expect that, nor was I considering even putting that out there because we had already spent a ton of money as it was on
Yeah.
everything else. But she was adamant about like, we're doing this. And so like they opened up at 9. We actually got there at 9:30, and the hotel we stayed at was only a 10-minute walk. So we didn't have to even like, change parking up or anything like that. We just literally walked there,
Hmm.
and like it was all nonstop. So like walked in, paid our tickets, walked over, got on the boat, and went to the falls. Like there was no line. It was awesome.
That's amazing.
And that those photos were great, and the kids were just having a blast. So it was all kinds of fun. And it was actually a warm day, which at 9:30 up in that area you wouldn't expect it to be warm, but it was almost 80 degrees up there. So it was actually
Wow.
really
Yeah.
nice.
That's a
So
lot warmer than I thought it would be.
yeah, well, come to find out, it's because there was a storm from the west blowing in, and it was cloudy, and so it was pushing all the heat down at the
Hmm.
time. So
Yeah.
that's what we got to drive into on the way home.
Is the
Uh,
storm. Yeah.
yeah, but the experience at Niagara Falls was awesome. And then the last thing that we got to do before we actually got home was I was like, man, I really want fish. Like we're up here, by the lake, and we found this mom and pop diner in Ripley, New York, right like 5 minutes off of the highway, and they do fish fry every day there. They've got
Hmm.
haddock, and it was delicious, and homemade pies. It was
That's
so
interesting. I
good.
had a haddock last night. It was crazy, but the ibuprofen took care of
You're so bad, dude.
it.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Oh, jeez.
Don't worry.
Stop
They
it.
scale up. The jokes scale up.
Yeah, they scale up. Okay. I want to fillet them down. Gosh.
All right. All right. That's it. Finn.
Oh, the eye rolls that are happening right now. People listening. So great. Oh,
Well,
anyway.
I
But
love
yeah,
a
so that
lot
was
of
my
the
trip.
things that you brought up, especially when you started out with, getting one-on-one with your daughter. And I had a similar experience this week, not on a road trip or anything, but yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. My 11-year-old has anxiety, and it gets pretty bad for her a lot of times. And we're learning how to deal with it. We're learning how to take care of it. But yesterday morning was just a meltdown about her Halloween costume. And again, she came up with something that we really can't find. We're going to have to make, and we're going to have to piece it together. And it's not. I can't sew, and I definitely can't make clothing. So we're trying to figure it out. And she woke up and was just panicking. And she's in sixth grade. She has an above 98% on everything that she does. She's a really good student. And she had no summatives that day or anything like that. Nothing going on. No, no orchestra, no extracurriculars. Everything is just a regular day with nothing going on. So she's freaking out, and she's like, not going to get my costume ready. I mean, I'm like, we got 10 days. We got this. But looking at how she was dealing with it, I decided, and I asked her, I said, how about this? Why don't you and I go to the store right now? You get dressed, and she's already lit up. She's already happy. And I'm like, and we'll just go and we'll see if we can pick up these items. We need some socks, we need a belt, we need a skirt, and let's just see where we can get them. And she's literally hopping up and down and clapping her hands at this point. And all of that is not necessarily a great parenting lesson. You deal with your kids the way you deal with your kids. I felt like in that moment, that was the best thing for her. And we went out, we did go shopping. We went, and I said, do you want to get some breakfast? And she's, can I get a hash brown? I'm like, yeah, I think I can get you a hash brown. Is that it? Is that what you want? She goes, and maybe a Coke? I'm like, an actual real Coke? And she's like, okay. I'm like, no, you're right. It's a special day. Let's make it a special day. We'll get you a Coke. So I spent like $4, I think, for her to get those. And she was delighted, of course. But having that time together, and we've talked about it before. There's a very important saying in parenting that the way that kids spell love is actually Time, right? That's how they know that you love them, because you're spending time on them. You're making them important in your life. And that time that we spent just going to McDonald's, which not like McDonald's, but she does, going to McDonald's and then going to the store and just spending some time looking at the stuff that's there, hunting for a pair of, this character wears basically thigh highs, and they don't really sell thigh highs that I know of in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. I don't know. I've never actually gone to look for them. I'm sure there must be, but like the standard stores don't have them. And so we found a pair of leg warmers, and basically because they're adult leg warmers and she's 11, worked perfect. They go all the way where they need to be. She can wear regular socks and her boots, and she was like, oh, I can't believe this is amazing, Dad, thank you so much. And having that one-on-one time with her, I feel like it is nothing really to me. And we went to breakfast and we went to the store and got some socks and a belt, but in her mind, in her memory, right? That's probably, I'm guessing, of course, that's probably a core memory. That's something that she will look back on for decades and say, yeah, I remember that time we did that. And nothing that she missed at school because she was late. We got in by like 9:30. So it's not like she missed a lot. I think she missed one thing, but having that time with her, just that little moment to make her the most important person in my life and to show her that. And it just reminded me when you said like going with Ruby and having that time where it's just the two of you and how very, very, very valuable that is to your kids.
Yeah.
So, first and foremost, I just want to make that statement. Just remember, everybody out there, the way the kids spell love is Time. And just applaud you for making time for each individual kid, because I know you've been spending, unfortunately, because of medical thing, a lot of time with Hezekiah probably by themselves, and the two of you, or you know, him and his mom and all that. So that's a thing that it's good to look at and go, okay, even though this isn't a great time we're spending together, you are my focus. And
Yeah.
being able to shift gears and like, no, I'm going to focus on you today. This is all about you, you know, what do you want to do? We're driving down the road and you want to be on your tablet the whole time. Cool.
Yeah.
That's fine. You know, as long as we're doing it together. Maybe want to do things not on a tablet together too, but like while you're driving, what else are you going to do? Right.
Right. The
So I
thing
work
with
that out. I think that's very important for parents to remember. So I appreciate you bringing it up and showing it to us.
Well, and she's not the one that like demands screen time too. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's pretty good about like asking for it from time to time, but like Hezekiah is the one that's like, I need it, I
Yeah.
need it, I need it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's like, I'll, you know, I can come up with other ways. Like she loves to read and all that kind of stuff too. So
Mm-hmm.
like she was able to, you know, occupy her time. And but she does love watching movies and cuddling up next to me. Like we actually were watching Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 the night before we left on the trip, and you know, just enjoying that. And so like I was like, yeah, like I'll download some movies on the iPad for you so that way you
Mm-hmm.
can watch some of those. And yeah, and then she would tell me about them, and you know
Mm-hmm.
why she would giggle, and I'd be like, what are you laughing about? Like what just happened there? And so you know we would talk about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it was just that to me, like that's sort of, I don't know if that's just something in our family DNA or what it is, but like I know like when I get disconnected from Corey and I feel like I'm just like, God, like we just haven't had any time together at all. Like
Mm-hmm.
like nothing. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, I will get to the point where like a lot of times she's not in meetings, like in the evenings, she's just usually doing like phone call reviews and that kind of thing. So I'll go down and just sit in the chair beside her computer and kind of be doing my own thing, but we're in the same area. So like when she gets breaks or whatever, like, you know, we can have like a conversation, like just to reconnect or whatnot. And I I've found that that has been probably one of the more just valuable things about just being like, okay, like I know she's down there working, but she's not doing anything that's like, if she you know even she needs sort of like a mental break from it. And
Mm-hmm.
so
Oh yeah.
if I'm down there, like, you know, we can have just a fun conversation or whatever it
Mm-hmm.
needs to be. And so like I feel like it's just worked really well, which is the same kind of thing as what was being in the car with Ruby
Mm-hmm.
and going on that ride. So yeah, definitely a lot of fun there. And
Well, there's a lot to be said for what do they call it, parallel play, where you're not really interacting, but you're like in the same space doing kind of
yeah,
similar things. You know, I hate that. I just want to point that out. I hate that 100%. That's not who I am, and I don't like it. But Marnie, that's all she wants. She's fine with talking. She's fine with doing things. You want to go, you know, we're gonna go walk a mile. You want to go climb a, whatever you want to do, we'll do it. But if we're just sitting there and we're gonna watch a movie, it's just being together.
yeah,
And she'll get on her phone, and that irritates the living crap out of me. But okay, you know, that's how she does it. But and generally she'll fall asleep. Cool. All right. That's cool. For me, that just that I don't want to say it hurts me, but it irritates me.
yeah.
It makes me feel unloved, you know.
Mm,
But I recognize that this is her way of showing love, of being love, is just being in the same room together. There's a movie on and we're kind of paying attention to it. She can do two things at once fairly well. You know, I'm definitely a one track, you know, kind of person. I need to be doing this thing and then I'll switch to this thing and I'll switch back to this thing. You know, I'm the waffle squares. Everything I do is in a square, and then I move into the new square, and Marnie's the syrup, and she's just everywhere at once. And I'm like, what are you doing? but the understanding of what parallel play means for people, you're just spending time together. You're not necessarily doing an activity. You're maybe not even talking. There have been times where I've gone in and just sat in Marnie's office. I had something I did not really talk to her about, but I just wanted to kind of hang out. And it was annoying for me, really. Couldn't stay more than like 10 minutes, but she loved it. She would tell me at the end of the day, I loved you having you there. It was just, I know we didn't get to talk, and obviously I'm a big talker and I need that. That's my only way to survive. But that moment you have with your kids, okay, sure. You're driving and she's on her tablet. There's nothing wrong with that. And even if that's, one once in a million thing that they do to get on their tablet, or they're constantly wanting it, which I feel like that's much more common with children.
Right.
They want that, but still you're there. You're kind of like just a firm, familiar, strong presence in their world at that moment. And they're safe to ignore the cars, the traffic, the where we're going, and just kind of veg out and relax and watch a show, or, learn something, read a book, whatever they're doing on their tablet. And that to me is incredibly valuable again as a parent. That time doesn't have to be an activity. That time
Yeah.
together can be just sitting quietly. If you're
Yeah.
a weirdo and that's how you recharge. I'm just
Well, that was one of the things that was actually really fun so on Friday morning, Ruby and I got up and walked down the street to go get breakfast. And after we did that, like she was like, can I do Pokemon Go? And I was like, okay. So we opened it up and we did that for a few minutes. And then she
yeah.
noticed at one of the Pokestops, like this really cool mosaic artwork. And she was
Mm-hmm.
like, let's go find that. And I'm like, all right. So it wasn't too far from where we were at, of course, because it was a Pokestop. And it's this really cool mosaic piece on the sidewalk that spans like this whole breezeway. So it's probably like 50 yards of mosaic, and it was all these different animals.
Mm-hmm.
And so we walked around and took photos of those, and I was telling her about how, like, I was like, this is the kind of thing that I do when I go to Home Dad Con.
Oh,
Like
cool.
I go to,
Yeah.
we go to a city and I look for artwork and we take photos of things. And she's like, "Oh, that's really cool." And so kind of got to share just a little like art walk moment with her and took these photos. And then when we were walking back, there was a mural of like a sunflower and like a hummingbird. And she was like, "Ooh, can we take a photo of that and send it to Mama?" Because Corey loves hummingbirds. So he's like, "Oh, totally. Yeah." So we took that as well. And we were just looking around a bunch of different things and just enjoying, this walk that I did not expect to basically be talking to her about, like, these are the things I enjoy. But it was
Mm-hmm.
really cool to like
Yeah.
share with her, like, hey, like this is actually something that I find relaxing and enjoyable and entertaining, to be honest. And so we just enjoy that together, and that was a whole lot of fun. So yeah, it was a cool little moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you're sharing your life with this little version of yourself, basically, and potentially setting them up for things that they're going to want to do. They're going to learn about it. They're going to enjoy it, giving them new hobbies and, even like new mindsets in a way,
Yeah.
because looking at the world and saying, let's take a picture of that and send it to Mom because Mom loves that. That is such a wonderful moment in my mind, because it's just showing the the love that you have set up, the compassion that you have set up, and whatever framework you want to put that in, to where your kids have learned to think about other people,
Yeah.
to consider
Yep.
what someone else wants and what they need and what they love. And I think that's just an incredible statement on what parenting should be.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, it's just that you're showing your kid how to be a strong, loving human being, when they
Yeah.
get older.
Well,
That's
we've
cool.
always we've always, prayed over the kids that they would, be selfless towards each other. Like they were, just like they would constantly be looking after each other in different ways. And that was kind of fun too, because when we went to pick up Hezekiah and Corey, they were out in the lobby area because they were headed to one of the gift shops. And we were walking in, and Hezekiah and Corey were down the way, and as soon as Ruby saw them, she just takes off, just poof, like sprinting. And the whole time, like Hezekiah is there, and he's all like, Ruby, she's like kind of there, and like
Yeah.
Corey's all like, I want a hug, and she's like, I'm hugging Hezekiah first, and like it was really cute, and so like they like crash into each other, and it was really funny. Just I'm like,
Yeah.
and Corey was like, well, dang it, like I wanted that hug, and I was just like, this is what we prayed for, like that these
Yep.
kids would like love each other, and that
Hmm.
that would continue into like their adulthood and so forth. I was like, and that's something that her and I's like siblings like don't have to that extent, and
Hmm.
so like I'm not running to my brother and sister and being all like, hey, like
Yeah.
there's none
Yeah.
of that. And so it's like, you know, just cultivating that sort of deal where it's like be excited to like see your family. And so it was really cute to see that because I didn't expect him to do that really. But yeah.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. It really is.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's, as far as like how you raise your kids and going into, different life stages. I mean, Hezekiah is getting ready to become a teenager.
Hmm.
Ruby's coming into her preteen years type of
Hmm.
deal. It's like, you know, I've seen and heard from other parents and seen also from just other kids like, oh, hey, like they change, they do all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm praying against all that. Like, I don't want, like, yes, I get it. Like, there are things that are going to change, but like the one thing that should not change is just the love they have for each other, the communication,
Hmm.
that should continue to grow in a positive way. And just being there to point out, like, hey, like, we get it. There's mental, physical things changing in your life, but don't forget the core values that
Hmm.
we've, been teaching you. And I think that that's something that a lot of parents sometimes have a hard time continuing, like to keep that as like the focus.
Hmm.
There's so many things that go on in the world. So that's the one thing that like right now on my mind is just like this, okay, like we are about to step into a full new life stage, come the beginning of the year. And what is that going to look like for our
Hmm.
family?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And I will say, get ready. Teenagers are fun.
Yeah.
And there's a reason we call kids three-nagers when they're three, and they are just against anything you say and do. Lovingly, wonderfully guiding them through that was a challenge, I think, for all of us who had kids that were three. And it's just the exact same when they're a teenager. They're just bigger. I mean,
Yeah.
it is amazing to me that the things I learned for my kids, treating how to treat them when they were three, exactly the same way that I treat my taller than me, strong, yeah, well, probably stronger than me, 16-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
He's got that same attitude and he pushes against it. And I don't let him push me, you know. And I think that again, it's just one of those things you learn when they're three. I know you're gonna push and you're gonna smash your head against me until I move. So I'm just not gonna move. And I still love you. And that for me has been the most eye-opening thing about teenagers, you know, and also their house cats. They love you when they love you, and they don't when they don't, and they'll always come for food.
Yep.
There you go.
I would agree with that.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah,
Anyway,
the thing that we've gotten into recently is with like a question gets asked and the answer that they want is not the answer that they get. And
yeah.
then this whole like, well, why? And and it's like, well, you asked the question and I gave you the answer, and I'm the authority figure in this situation, and it doesn't really need an explanation past that, other than the fact that you want to somehow come up with a way to continue the argument. And I'm
Hmm.
basically saying, like, there's no argument. Like, when you're an adult, you can make these choices however you like.
Yeah.
But as a kid, like, I get to say no, and that's the end of the discussion. Like, we've always said, like, no is a full sentence
Hmm.
with a period. And
Yeah.
you know, and unless you can come up with a different way to propose your question other than just why,
Hmm.
like I'm not going to entertain that discussion.
Yeah.
And I think that that has been both, of course, frustrating for them, but at the same time, like good for us for the fashion of like we are not allowing them to feel like they can have an argument based off of not getting the answer that they want type of deal, unless you can come up with a more constructive way to continue a conversation about it without
Hmm.
just being upset type of deal, because that's
Yeah.
basically what why is. It's just their way of yelling, like just raw
Hmm.
why.
Yeah. Yeah. Just anguish,
Yeah,
gnashing of teeth.
exactly. So yeah, so that's the other thing that we've been definitely walking that road.
Yeah. That's
But
fantastic. Well, I
yeah,
got to
man.
tell you, man, life lessons from a road trip. I love it.
Yeah. You know what? I think that that's one of the things about road trips that should always be looked at is life lessons with
Hmm.
that, because you're in a confined space for an extended period of time, and you know, you should be able to walk away with either more knowledge or a better understanding of things, or just, you know, some way to have bonded, you know,
Hmm.
that kind of deal. But yeah, so that's what's going on, and I think that's the end of our show today. And
Good place.
it's been a good conversation, and we will be back next week. Also, too, just wanted to let you all know, Danny and I were recently guests on Hop on Pop Culture, and that episode will be coming out here in a few weeks. So we'll definitely make that known and put a link out when that comes out. But just wanted to thank Phil for having us on the show and just getting a chance to hang out with him and talk about the fall fun things to do, or as he was saying, the fall shit that we all get to do. So
Just gonna
so
talk
check that
about
out.
fall shit. Okay, cool,
Yeah,
Phil. Let's do it.
let's do it. Exactly. So till then, y'all have a great week. We'll talk to you real soon.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.